keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. I don't see everyone running to the podium, so we will move on. We do have before us a consent agenda. We would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Chuck? Jeff? Any comments or questions? Hearing none, Sue, could you do roll call, please?
Chuck Melkey?
Yes.
Holly Jarvis? Yes. Carrie Germain?
Yes.
Andrea Fick? Yes. Kim Winter? Yes. Jessica Leonard? Yes. Jack Sayer?
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you so much. Motion passes. Next, we have our update from Mr. Heatherton, our superintendent. I'm sure you have a lot of stuff for us. It's been a really busy time, and next week is spring break. So go ahead, Rod.
Yay for spring break. I do have a lot. We're going to start with a legislative update. I had the chance to be in Lansing yesterday with MASA and at the county retreat last week. Multiple groups and legislators coming in to update us, so I thought it would be a good idea to run through some of the current possible language and language that has already been passed. The third grade reading law has been amended. There is no more retention mandate in the third grade reading law. Retention is out of that. We are keeping all supports and interventions. Interesting to note on that one, apparently there is something known as immediate effect, and they actually have to grant it. It was not granted from the Senate, so it then goes into effect 3 months after the last date of the last session. So technically, this particular law will not impact us until next January. So each bill that passes, they do vote on when it passes or when it goes into effect. So third grade reading law did pass, no immediate effect. Senate Bill 161 and Senate Bill 162 deal with reciprocity, and it's just basically the ability to get out-of-state counselors and teachers aligned and certified in Michigan quicker and faster. So if they're already certified in Ohio, Indiana, or wherever, they can come in and get certified in Michigan as opposed to going through all sorts of coursework. Senate Bill 63 is to expand the sinking funds to transportation and bus purchases. That applies to future sinking funds. So if you have a sinking fund, it is not retroactive. It will not affect our current sinking fund, but as you went out in the future for sinking funds, you could put language for transportation and bus purchases right into the sinking fund. House Bill 4166, that is the grading system for school districts, and it is recommending the removal of the letter grade for the district. So there would be no longer an A through F grade for a district, but the dashboard as it's written now would still be active and alive on their system. There's some different teacher evals discussions out there. The biggest one, and this is what I think will definitely happen, is reducing substantially or removing altogether the growth metric. There's a couple of versions being passed around, and we'll talk about, when we go into prohibited subjects, there's a lot of laws about prohibited subjects. So some of these teacher eval laws have it with due process. Like right now, teacher eval is a prohibited subject, so some have it without the due process. Some retirement changes, still waiting to see. Right now, you have to be retired for 9 months, and then it's not capped. There's some language out there for 90 days and a cap at $11,000, which really totally defeats the entire purpose of everything. There is a hope that it would be 90 days and no cap, which would make more sense, because 90 days and a cap wouldn't really help the current situation at all. School safety, there's 13 bills currently floating around in the Senate and the House for safety. There's red flag laws, there's safe storage laws, and there's training laws. One that's not in the House or Senate, but is in the Michigan Supreme Court is governmental immunity. As of right now, school employees have governmental immunity. There are some challenges to that happening right now that would take away some of the protections for public employees. Right to work has passed. Most of the impact on that for schools is nil because of a Supreme Court ruling. So again, the changes with that will come when they decide which prohibitive subjects are going to stay or not stay as those individual packages come through. House Bill 4044 prohibits step freezes and non-retroactive and healthcare freezes. So if a contract runs out right now, everything is frozen. Steps, insurance, any increase. Under this, if a contract was to run out, then that group could continue with steps and insurance increases paid by the district. As you know, most school employees are mandatory reporters. Just an update from True and Law, added to that list recently are now also PTs, OTs, and athletic trainers. So they were not a part of mandatory reporters before. They have been added to the list of mandatory reporters. In the budget right now, the government is recommending a $458 per pupil increase. It does have to go through the House and Senate committees, and they would have to go through a conference committee. They have not done all of that work yet. Some of the governor's proposals, it talks about expanding meals. They're so excited about that, they're talking about a supplemental, which would mean it could happen faster than the entire budget. Learning loss, they're talking about continuing monies for tutoring in summer school. You know, we've had that conversation over and over again. We've done a robust tutoring in summer school the last 2 years, and we keep talking about how are we going to continue that. In the governor's budget, there's money set aside. We would actually be able to continue that full program. And then there's a GSRP expansion. They have not really decided how it's going to roll out, but there is some thought that by the end of the governor's second term, the hope would be that GSRP would be 5 days a week and mandatory for all school districts. Of course, that comes with a lot of questions for districts who don't have space, and would there be money for construction and those kind of things. But each year, the openings for GSRP are increased, the limits are decreased, and we are continuing to increase the participation of GSRP, so there's a lot with early childhood in the budget as well. I know that was a lot. If you have any quick questions.
The grading system, so is that going to happen for sure? But they're going to take away that A through F, like it's happening, and when is it happening if it is?
That one is House bill, so no, that one has not been sent to the governor.
A follow-up question to Andre, so what will be the grading system?
I think in House Bill 4166, they've taken the grading right out of it. It's just more of a dashboard on specific metrics that you could look up about the school. There wouldn't be like an overall grade. For example, it'd be more of a standards-based. You go up and you look at all the standards of your school. You wouldn't get a A, B, or a C.
Do we get a percentage?
Not according to that bill.
Would we be able to compare to other districts? Like if a family was looking between Swartz Creek and Flushing, would they be able to compare the two districts on the same?
They'd be able to go to the dashboard and compare the metrics.
Okay, that's all right. Rod, what is it on this list that you see having probably the most potential to go forward? And I know there's several. And that...
So it would be the prohibitive subjects of bargaining. I belong to K-12 Alliance as well as MASA. We obviously have our own lobbyists, but I think that it is very incumbent on districts to be able to be flexible with our ability to staff. So right of assignments, our ability to discipline. A couple of the others are There's a look at healthcare and taking away right now you can have a cap or an 80-20, and they're talking about removing the cap. That would devastate districts. Plus, the cap forces you to keep having those flexible conversations and moving from plan to plan. And when you move from plan to plan, plans then decrease. We've had the best package for years. It was only until this year that we had an increase. If you remove the cap, not only are you stuck in probably the one plan that you're in, there's no relief financially, especially if it went to a 90. They're talking about removing the cap and going to a 90-10. That would be devastating.
And would also leave less money on the table when you're looking at salary increases and other
Positions,
things.
salaries, benefits, yeah. So those are some of those things that right now are not bargainable. If they all came back, it would change the way we obviously interacted at the bargaining table.
Can I just know what a mandatory reporter is?
Yeah, mandatory reporter is if there is abuse or neglect and you have any cause to believe that a child is in that situation, you are mandated to report that to protective services.
Speech therapists already have to report.
Correct.
So I was surprised to see that OTPT didn't have to.
That's kind of what I figured it was, but...
Board members are mandatory reporters as well.
SB 161 and 162, is that for all 49 other states, or are they taking states that are equivalent to us and making it easier? Are they saying all states, regardless of what their qualifications are within that state? If you don't know, that's okay.
I don't know if they're going to rank the states that are closest to us, or if it's just going to be an all or nothing. That's a great question.
Well, yeah, because some states in the law enforcement world will accept certifications from other states because it's similar to our training. And some states say, no, anybody can put in for it, and I just don't want us to get people that come to us that may be lower, but
Since Michigan has fallen into the low 40s,
Yeah.
there's not many states behind us right now.
really. Okay, well, that was a question I had. And one other one on the sinking funds, which I think I know this answer, but I'll paraphrase it. If we have $2 million in our account currently, and we pull in another $2 million in the building and sink it next year, we can't use $4 million then for buses and transportation. We'd only be able to use the additional money and that money that's already been in the bank for those particular items.
No. So our sinking fund is due in 2030.
Right.
When we put that on the ballot in 2030, if we include, if this passed.
Yes.
And we included bus language, then in 2030, we could set aside a percentage of that money for buses. So nothing in our current sinking from now until the renewal could be used for transportation.
That was my question, you answered it, thank you.
Because our current sinking fund is for 20 years.
Correct.
All right, it expires in, when, 2025, 26?
2030.
30, okay.
One more, governmental immunity, what is that? What would that in detail with a school employee?
So right now, unless you do some act with gross negligence, you can't just have any community member or parent say, I'm going to sue this teacher or this principal or whatnot. They work for the government, they're protected. The school district can be sued, but they cannot be sued. Part of this is coming out of the Oxford shootings, where there are lawsuits challenging the governmental immunity of the employers in Oxford, and they're trying to create specific suits against them. It was recently held up that we have governmental immunity, but there's still challenges right now.
Do you fall under that too?
The board as a whole, I mean, the board is the district can be sued. I mean, the district's in lawsuits all the time. So you couldn't, individual, you would still have immunity.
That's what I meant, like as an individual, not as a whole.
That's a great question.
Okay.
The board as a whole.
The board as a
Board as a whole could be sued.
Yes.
But you're asking individually of how it could be sued. Probably not, because we're all
Technically,
in
you're not
together.
an employee of the district. But I can check in on that one.
I mean, I'm not trying
No, the boards are covered.
Anyone else?
They sue the district, not the individual.
Go ahead. Did you have other things?
Oh, yeah, that was my first one. As I said, I did get a chance to spend a retreat with the Genesee County Superintendent. Great information on special ed, SEL, a great presentation on culture and climate. I thought that was pretty interesting since we're doing the same exploration right now. We actually had a restorative circles training, so the gentleman from MSU who trained our 200 teachers last spring actually ran a circle with all the superintendents and some county enrollment. So maybe at a future academic achievement or something, we could dig into some of these, but I think in the last 20 years, the county enrollment roughly has gone from 80,000 to 40,000. They see our projection right now, we're 3,450. We're projected to be down to 3,000 in 5 years, and they are pretty accurate. They deal with this all the time, and they have the birth rates, and they have all sorts of calculations they use. They said that they're 3-year out, and the following audit years are rather accurate. So some interesting things there. Spring break, as you said, it's happening. We have a half day on Friday. We will all return on April 3rd. So thank you to all of our staff, students who have been doing a lot of great things and are ready for a break. Speaking of great things, when we get back from break, we have the Connections to Wellness in the Creek. I'm sure you've heard about it. It's been all over social media. And we are going to have over 50 vendors there to talk about all sorts of wellness, dental, vision, health, financial, food pantry. We are going to be able to give away food pantry food to over 250 families. There is a drawing for a $500 gift card from Meyer. I just want to personally thank the committee. They have been doing some amazing work, and that is Amy Jackson, May Bendel, Alyssa Bouchard, Alicia Gardner, Adrian Trebetowski, Carrie Germain, Jim Kitchen, Katie Hunt, Michelle Bealby, Michelle Corbett, Stan Page, Tony Delgado, Melissa Titsworth, R.C. Hunt, and Travis Smith have all been helping out. And Carrie, I didn't know if you wanted to comment on anything specific since you've been such a big part of that.
So this is a passion of mine, and I did some similar things when I was working. I am so proud of this district for taking this and running with it. And the people that are leading this are doing such a great job. I'm going to give special credit to Katie and Amy because they have done an amazing job leading all of us and keeping track of all the pieces, parts. And I appreciate the district giving us the opportunity to do that. But please, if you're in the community, you want some fun, a little bit of food, access to prizes, but most importantly, to the community resources that are coming from all over the place. We have everything from Girl Scouts and 4-H up to people who need access to utilities and food. And as Mr. Heatherson said, if you go through the resource tables, you'll be given a ticket to go over and get food at the local food pantry if that's something that you would like to do. And so we're really excited. Meyer is our sponsor. We do have the $500 gift card as well as some really amazing baskets that will be drawn for at the event. So I would invite all of my board members to be there. Bring your family and friends. Tell people about it. If you've seen it on social media, please share it. It's really going to be a great night, and we're focusing not necessarily on how many people come, but how much value that we can bring to the community. And as I've joked with the group, but I'm serious, this should be the inaugural event, so this will be the first annual. And thanks again, Mr. Kitchen, for allowing us to do this. That's all.
Thank you. A couple more items real quick. Just sad to announce the death of Honorable John, member of the GISD Board of Education. You can go to the website to take a look at their process for replacing board members. MASB is having its spring set of courses if you want to get in on any of the course workshops. They got CBA 101, the board president workshops, April 28th and 29th. Labor relations, high school and beyond, fundamentals, ethics, advocacy for public education. That's pretty important right now. Data-informed decision-making, public speaking, budget shortfalls, and all sorts of things. So April 28th and 29th, if you want to do those, it looks like those are virtual. And then finally, Gaines is going out to the Humane Society. I think they're our third building now to read with the animals, and that's on April 17th. Gaines will be going out to the Humane Society.
Can you put that out on the calendar, would you please? So I won't forget.
And that is all I have.
Thank you, Rod. Any questions for Rod?
I just have a comment on John Conover's desk, the Honorable John Conover. His wife Karen is also a board member for, I believe, Davison Public Schools, and I'd like to wish my condolences to her for that.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, John Conover was a judge for many moons, and I worked with him professionally, and he was always a gentleman, well-educated, did a great job, and he'll be sadly missed because he was a wealth of wisdom. Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck. All right, let's move on to our student board representative report. Tanner?
All right, definitely got a very, very long, well, not too long, but definitely up there in report length today. So just starting off at our high school level, sporting events, we have boys varsity lacrosse, that was today at 4, girls varsity lacrosse was at 6, and there was a special track meet out at Saginaw Valley State University today for the varsity, both boys and girls varsity track. So that's really nice to see that they're getting invited out to that invitational to compete there. Our high school band is gearing up for their annual spring break trip all the way to Disney World in Florida. They're going to be marching at, I believe, both Universal Studios and Hollywood Studios in Disney World. So they definitely have a very fun-filled week ahead of them. Middle and high school bands both earned straight ones at the District Band Festival on March 10th, which a 1 is the highest score you can get, so congratulations to them. Also with solo and ensemble in the choir department, this year's magical group, along with all of the soloists who attended, earned Division I scores at both this year's district and state solo and ensemble events. And our band soloists, along with the Woodwind Chamber Ensemble, earned either Division I or II scores at the division, at the state S&E level. And the Woodwind Chamber Ensemble and soloist Evan Kozak also had the honor of being selected as both Outstanding Soloist and Outstanding Ensemble by their MSVMA judges. MSBOA, excuse me. That gives them the chance to be selected to play for a state conference in the spring. And then tomorrow, the varsity and junior varsity choirs will be heading to Flushing to compete at the district level choir festival. So this week and month has just been filled with all sorts of fun stuff for our performing arts departments. The first roundtable meeting of the year was held on February 28th and was a major success. Before the end of the year, I would still like to hold one more meeting at the high school and one in between there at the middle school level, if at all possible, in the coming months. Moving down to the middle school level, the How to Train a Dragon student store has been an absolute huge hit. Students are striving any way possible to earn target tickets so that they're able to get fun prizes and other items from the student store. 2 students qualified for states at Henry Ford for their Kettering Young Innovators projects, and 330 SCMS students are going to be getting ice cream sundaes for breakfast this week as they recorded all 3s and 4s on their Creek citizenship scores, which is awesome to see. The middle school this year achieved an undefeated competitive cheer season, which just ended. And the middle school archery team is also going to be heading to nationals very soon. So congratulations to them. That's awesome to see that they're getting to that level of competition. The Quiz Bowl team completed their biggest tournament, coming in 4th out of the 30 teams that were there. And finally, getting down to the elementary level, with Deke hosted their family wellness night. It was a tremendous success. They had fun games, learning, community engagement. They're going to be hosting a literacy and STEM night tonight And the Deke community will be enjoying a variety of activities, rounding out March here with March's Reading Month wrapping up. The Freemasons donated the bikes for the Bikes for Books giveaway, so a big thank you to them. Those bikes are going to be given away to students who turn in complete book slips, so they'll have a chance to be drawn and win a free bike. At Moorish, the Moorish Carnival Night was a great success. They had over 150 families participate. Moorish is also going to be wrapping up their March's Reading Month with a scooter giveaway from the Swartz Creek Masons. And the Moorish and Elms Blueberries group, which I know I've brought up a couple times, they're working hard to set up the annual staff versus student basketball game that will take place on April 12th. So it's awesome to see that that group is flourishing over there. Those kids are able to do such great things being in little leadership positions like that. Jumping over to Gaines, the Gaines Student Council put together a donation drive for the Humane Society. The students are collecting things in preparation for their visit to the Humane Society to read with the animals on April 17th, which Mr. Heatherton mentioned. On Monday, Gaines held the Let's Glow Read Literacy Night. The theme was glow in the dark with reading and writing activities. This was just for students to come in, read some books, celebrate March's Reading Month as it's starting to wrap up there. Cyrene, they've had also great participation for March's Reading Month. They also had a scooter giveaway, which 6 students were chosen at random to via those book slips to get those free scooters. And wrapping up with the Virtual Learning Center at the VLC, students have been engaging in activities with March's Reading Month. During book study time, Mrs. Powell, our reading and interventionist, had the students engage in a book tasting activity, which basically you put a bunch of books around in a room, and then it has these students, they have like 5-10 minutes per interval, and they go around and look at different books, and they flip through to about the middle of the book or the beginning, wherever they choose, and they can start looking at all these different books. That way they can explore different genres, and they can just hopefully discover something about a genre they haven't really decided to willingly explore. Hopefully just taking a few minutes to sit down and just taste the book per se. Hopefully it'll get them hooked and they'll be able to expand their literacy level, expand their genre of reading, and it's just a great effective way to get kids to broaden on the kind of material they read and just bring them up to be excellent readers and writers, which is what we're looking for. And tomorrow, the students requested a Pajama Day readathon to end out March's Reading Month, and that has been granted, so that's going to be going on at the March's Reading Month event tomorrow at the Virtual Learning Center. And that's all I've got. Definitely a very hefty report with a theme of March's Reading Month going on there, but absolutely great things happening across the district.
Well, thank you, Tanner, as always, and I love that you include our youngest dragons all the way up to the kids in the high school.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I could just listen to you all night. If you want to just continue, that would be fine.
Well, I
Any
think I've run out of
questions?
things to talk to, but
I see your predecessor, Ms. Cook, is here, making sure that you're doing a fine job.
oh yeah,
as
yes
did.
she is.
Any questions for Tanner? No?
I believe they are push scooters from the pictures I saw on Facebook and stuff. They're like your standard Razor, just those name
Yeah.
brand push scooters.
Oh, good.
Tanner, do you know who the 2 Kettering recipients were?
That is something unfortunately I don't know.
Okay.
I was trying to look into that a little bit more, but I couldn't find anything on it.
Okay, thank you.
That is something I would like to look into and reach out and congratulate them. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks. All right. Moving on, we do have our informational items, certified, non-certified staff. I don't think we had any board subcommittee reports. I'll start with academic achievement. We met last week on Tuesday. Let's see, we did focus on the Hanover Culture and Climate infographic that Jim is going to present later today, so I won't spend a lot of time on those details. I would suggest that anybody who's very interested in the data and what Hanover can do for the district, look at that in detail. Our group looked at the subcategories of the respondents and the benchmarking scores that were provided to us. There's over 30 school districts that do participate, and there was 150,000 inputs. So that was a lot of data to be compared to, and I know Jim and Rod will give us additional information. Just want to remind our board members that this is a 3-year contract with Hanover,
and we'll be doing annual surveys, and we do have very detailed access to the data and the different research that Hanover does as a result of the information that they collect, that our administrators and others will have access to. So a wealth of information for us as a district and as a board to continue to improve what we do for our students and staff and families. The next steps are to do some interviews, and I think Jim will probably talk about that. If not, with some various students, they have some goals, students and staff. And then additionally, as I mentioned, we have access to the database resources, which are really interesting. They shared a piece with us at the committee meeting on bullying, prevention, tracking, and messaging, kind of giving what other districts are doing and comparing us to some other districts, but also, giving us a sense of some best practices that are out there. And I think that's pretty much what we had. We are moving our next meeting from Tuesday to Monday, so it'll be April 3rd, due to that Connections to Wellness in the Creek event, so that there'll be 4 meetings on Monday, beginning with the finance and operations meeting, and then we'll have academic achievement, and then finally policy. So just wanted to make sure anybody who is interested in attending those meetings knows that. And that was all I had. Did you want to go, Elise, or Jessica?
If you would like.
Sure, finance.
All right. The Finance Committee meeting met on Monday, March 13th. The meeting started at 2:30, I think I got that wrong, 2:37 p.m. Oh, I know I got that wrong. I'm very sorry. I didn't save the start and end times correctly. All right, sorry. So in attendance was myself, Chuck Melke, Michelle Dexter, Rod Heatherton, R.C. Hunt, which also needs to be corrected in my minutes, and Jamie Cowan. The agenda was the cash and investment summary. That time it wasn't available. As of February 28th, the cash and investment summary is the general fund, $7,102,902.51. The sinking fund, $1,800,647.96. Food service, $639,361.43. Student activity, $316,040.13. The debt service is $2,960,768.98. The bond capital project is $4,303,808.13, leaving the total cash and investments at $17,122,729.14. Because we were earlier in the month, the check register was not available for review. The next agenda item was the introduction of Jamie Cowan, the candidate for the Executive Director of Finance. We did introductions. The process was discussed of the candidate search and the interviews, and then we had questions and discussions. There were no committee comments, and the meeting transitioned to operations at 2:48. So I was way off in my times.
Oh, you're close.
Yeah, no. That was way off. So with that all said, and because we've had the absence of a business director for 4 weeks, will you please accept my report as submitted with the intention for the incoming business director to verify the cash and investment summary?
So moved. Support.
All right, and so that was Chuck and Jack. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Holly Jarvis?
Yes.
Andrea Fick?
Yes.
Carrie Germain?
Yes.
Jack Sayer?
Yes.
Chuck Melke?
Yes.
Kim Winter?
Yes.
Jessica LaNave?
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion passes. Anything else, Jessica, or questions for Jessica? All right, Chuck.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the Operations Committee Building and Site meeting started at 2:49 p.m. Located at the admin building in the conference room, present was myself, R.C. Hunt, Jessica, Jamie Cohen, the candidate for the new business administrator. Mr. Kitchen was in and out, I believe, Rod Hetherington, and Michelle Dexter, and Jenna, and she's from a company called ARC. There was nobody else from the public present at the time, or did they enter? The first agenda item was ARC Environmental. Presentation on using this company named ARC at a cost of approximately $24,000 a year annually. Jenna talked about nesting permits from the county for school districts. What this company does, it performs mapping of all of our pipes on our property, discharging pipes that go to county or city easements, sanitary sewer, and storm sewers. There's many guidelines that we have to adhere to by state and federal guidelines. And all the required permits and inspections for sewer and sanitary discharges and any drains and pipes inside our district property. ARC Service would basically come up with a plan, tell us how to implement it, help with final inspections, or guide us in the right direction, and make sure we're compliant with all state and federal regulations. They will recommend and keep paper trails for us also when the state does its inspections, and make suggestions on emergency plans for spills, aggregate storages, bus garages, vehicle work areas, and large garbage storage areas. I have a lot of stars there because I had questions, but I think we're underneath the gun to have it signed by April the 1st. And my questions were on this, and the board's going to have to consider this. Does that $24,000 stay every year, or how much does it go down? Did we sign the contract for 1 year, Rod, or for 2 years, or for 3 years, do you recall? And I'm not putting you on the spot, I don't know if RC's here, maybe he could answer it. Them are questions I have.
What was the question? How many years was the contract?
Hopefully it wasn't more than 1 year, but,
I think it's year by year.
okay.
That's what my impression was, it was year by year.
Well, I didn't want to get bound into a contract, and then they don't reduce it or help us out. Okay, and that was my biggest concern, so that was it on that. And normally, so background history, the county drain commissioner does this for us, and they're having issues with some of the schools, and they've kind of subtly suggested that they don't have the manpower to do it. And if they do it, they would have to charge us also. In the past, it's been for free, but the cost would be anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000 with them. So it's something that we'll have to research next year and figure out what we're going to do to save the district some money if they can do it. That's all, basically, in a nutshell. Any questions on that one? That was a long one. No? Okay. The next one was the 400 wing update. Rod presented to us today at the bond steering committee that the architectural drawings are done. RC and Lisa has went over with our architect, and now we're just waiting for the engineers to look at it, and then we're going to figure out how much it's going to cost, and then put it out for bid, and we'll be done with bond funds, okay, for that. So that'll be the athletic wing. The next item was spring break plans. There'll be ongoing fire inspections, cleaning and waxing of all the wrestling quarters, high school welcome center. The upgrades for the windows are not in yet, so that may take a few more months, and that's where they were going to replace the window in the front so people could communicate. And hopefully that would have been delivered for spring break, but it looks like it's going to be put off for a couple of months. So that comes in. Next item was middle school dry cooler. As you're aware, the company that put it in last year, it's not working appropriately, so we don't have any air conditioning for the middle school. My understanding is they were going to put it in last weekend. I don't know if they have or not.
They got moved to this Saturday.
Okay, so it's coming this week, and the main thing is that if it's up and running, there'll be air conditioning for the students at the middle school building. Night lock inspections. The night lock inspections were completed by the state fire marshal, and they were all approved. RC has that document. Public comment, there was no public comment. Operations committee comments. Numerous on properties, again, Mary Crapel status. Parking lot at Elms Road where we can get the 3 lanes out to Elms Road for the exit of the civilians. Deke School, parking lot, bond balances, and that was it. And we adjourned at approximately 3:59, and our next operations committee building is on April 3rd. And the only other question I had, I'll just ask my own question to RC, did our bus inspections all pass?
Yeah.
They did, yeah, because we talked about that last month. So that's it for the Operations Committee.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
I have one question about the night lock inspections, just for all of us and some of our new board members. What are those, and does that happen annually?
It happens annually. No? Fire inspector inspects them.
As a one-time inspection to approve that they're installed correctly and per design.
Okay, that answers that question.
And what are they?
Yeah. RC can answer that. They're locks for the doors, but go ahead, RC.
Yeah, they are a mechanism that are utilized in a way to keep intruders out of classrooms or areas that may have a substantial number of staff or students. So it's just another safety barrier within our buildings.
It's a bolt that drops into the floor, and you cannot get into the
It's
classroom.
on the screen up there.
There you go.
So will we have a test on them to make sure they worked? Is that what you said? Sorry.
Well, yeah, we've been trained, everyone's been trained. This recent thing was a fire inspection
With those?
with those.
Okay.
I'm curious why they don't inspect them every year. Is this not required, like our fire extinguishers and defibrillators and fire alarms and smoke alarms?
So there's been a constant battle between fire and school safety.
Right.
In fact, at this point, there have been all these inspections all across the state. Just in some of these legislative agreements, they've actually, now both sides have kind of agreed, we're just going to move forward with safety procedures, you know, because your safety procedure is barring the door. Fire doesn't like the door barred.
No.
And they're at odds with each other, right?
Right.
So they've recently been freed up that any school can now take a mechanism and use it to bar the doors.
You know what, I read legislation on it, it has to be initially approved by them because there's so many devices out there currently that they're trying to sell to districts to make their, which is, it's private enterprise, to make their money. And I think this is one of the few ones that's been approved for school districts. So, yes, thanks. Thanks, RC.
Thanks, and thanks for clarifying. I didn't want everybody to go home and go, what are those? So, thank you. Any other questions for Chuck? If not, Jack, you want to do policy committee?
Absolutely, I
Please.
do. Policy committee was held on the 14th, Tuesday, and present was myself, the president, Carrie Germain, Jim Kitchen, Rod Heatherton, Kevin Claren, and Michelle Dexter. We called the meeting to order at 5 o'clock. First on the agenda was the Troon updates. We got two separate updates from Troon. I mean, like two policies were updated from Troon. And those were 3116, which is district technology and acceptable use. And the committee chose the options it thinks is best, and we'll be bringing the board to the board for a reading tonight. And then as well, policy 3120, Head Start. The committee chose the best options here, and we chose that the best option would not be to adopt this policy, so we will leave it in our books as intentionally left blank as long as the rest of the board will approve that. Our next agenda item, which wasn't originally on the agenda but was added, was for a first reading, and we're going to, the policy committee recommended that we bring these policies to the board tonight for a first reading, potential, are we going to accept them tonight?
I think we have time to, because our April meeting is it's the 10th or 11th, so it gives us plenty of time. And the question is because some of the technology pertains specifically to state testing, which takes place in April, but as long as we do our first reading tonight, then we will have enough time to adopt them on the April board meeting, and that will get us all set for the spring.
Okay, sounds good. So we will be just doing a first reading of those policies tonight, and then those are in your packet for you, so you have them, and you'll be able to take them home, read them over. So you won't be surprised at the next board meeting when we come to you and say, hey, we want to adopt these. There was no public comment. The board comments that we have is that at our next policy meeting, we'll likely be discussing more of the issues that were presented to Chuck and myself at the student roundtable. And I encourage that all board members come to that meeting as we, like Carrie said, we did move policy and academic achievement to that Monday. So we will be having all 4 committee meetings back to back to back on that day. So it'd be great if everyone was there. Like I said, I do intend to put on the agenda many of the safety concerns, especially that were brought up to us from the students to look at in policy terms. So that was the board comments. Policy committee adjourned at 5:30, and our next meeting is April 3rd now.
Thanks, Jack. Any questions for Jack? All right.
No, go, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. No, go. Somebody else go.
I think you're up.
I am?
Do you have anything for me, Chuck?
Well, you copied my notes that I gave you, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, because the kids at the round table were really great. And I think I'm conservative sometimes. They were much more conservative than me as far as safety issues went. And they had a lot of good suggestions. So I agree with Jack 100%. In fact, I said, you sure you want to go that extreme? And some of the kids were pretty good and they're articulate. So yeah, I would like to implement a lot of the stuff that they told us as we were partners in that. And they were all good stuff, just something that sometimes other people, when you have 7 people, a couple of people had some really good ideas. So yeah, I'll be there for sure. Thanks.
Thanks, Chuck. All right, moving on. We do have several items on our board discussion, beginning with the district operation report with RC and John.
Good evening, and thank you all for allowing us the opportunity to present on behalf of the Operation Department. Tonight we'll be doing a little bit of a deep dive into transportation more so, which is why John is here. But the first couple of slides here, I want to go over our organizational charts, so we can jump into that. I know a few of you weren't on the board last year, so I wanted to touch base on this again, so you kind of have an understanding of the family tree of how our operation looks. So you have myself at the Director of Operations there, and then you have John, Rich, Corey, and Michelle, which are all my right-hand people. I could not operate without them. They do a fantastic job. John oversees transportation and helps out with the logistics side of things. Then Corey, she oversees the maintenance people with me, and then Michelle does the custodial side of things. So as you can see, the numbers add up very quick, and overall we have 54 staff members in those departments. So there's a lot of people that are working in those departments to make everything work efficiently. I want to jump onto the transportation. Since we're hitting on this today, I want to do a deep dive and even further. So you can see here's our 16 full-time drivers, and then over at the bus garage we have our 2 mechanics, Brett and Randy. All right, on to some interesting facts. I thought once we got into our new system this year, which we'll be talking about, we're easily able to extract information and data that you see up here. So currently we have 16 drivers. We do 61 runs per day. We have 1,655 stops. So when I get a phone call that we went past someone's house, it's very understandable because there's 1,655 opportunities for that to happen. We transport 2,628 students, and when we say that, that's roughly half of those are in the morning, half in the afternoon. We have to count each transport as a transport, so about half of that is how many students we actually do transport. Our daily mileage is 1,065 miles, and then that equals about 191,700 miles, and that is just for our daily route. We have our field trips, other athletic events, anything like that. So we haven't had a full year under this new system to see what that comes out to, but we're guessing it'd be over 250,000 miles, which is a lot of miles to be putting on these buses every year. All right, so this year, I took a leap of faith. We are going out with the old and in with the new. So our old routing software system that we utilized was Tyler Technologies. It was called Versatrans. That is where we imported all of the students that were in the district riding buses, put them on a route so that we could see where every stop would be located. And the upgraded version so that we would be coming up to speed is called Traversa, which would be a web-based system. One of the big reasons we went away from them and started looking is because we saw the price tag with it. The 3-year plan to stick with Tyler Technologies would have been $88,000. And then with that, we tied to Geotab, which is our GPS system, so that we can see where all of our vehicles are located in the district at any point in time, was another $50,000. So that got us looking into doing demos of other companies, and we came across this one called TransFinder. The TransFinder 3-year plan was $37,000, and they referred us to Samsara, which is a $35,000 3-year plan for a GPS system. So there's a lot of benefits with that. You can see there's a lot of add-ons that we were able to utilize and still save $66,000. Some of those John will be doing the deep dive on, so you understand what these each are. But we have Route Finder, which is the routing-based portion, Stop Finder, which is the app for the parents to utilize, Viewfinder, which is for our staff to use to do a quick lookup on students and trips and routes, all that kind of thing, and then Trip Finder. So then I'll let John do his portion here.
Good evening, I'm John Meehan. I am the transportation lead here at Swartz Creek. Quick reference, we're going to start with Route Finder here. This is a brand new software that we downloaded this year, and it's pretty much the nut and bolts what we do every day to get our students to and from school. It's web-based, so that means anywhere in the district I can log in if there's an issue somewhere, or even at home with an emergency situation, I can go on to my laptop computer and do the same thing. All information captured with Route Finder is taken out of PowerSchool, so whatever the parents put in, we use. That includes address, name, contact information, primary contact information, email address to get a hold of these individuals as well. It's all taken from PowerSchool. No more actually having to hand put stuff in, it's just transferred over the minute they come into the PowerSchool system. So it makes it a lot easier. Geocoding, what that's doing is for us is putting the house and the student together on a route. We know where that person lives, we can assign it to a particular route, we can address that route, and we know where we're going with our bus or our routes at that particular time. Rollover is going to be happening here really soon. It's going to be more of a rollover. Software features going to help with everybody rolling over to the next grade. With us having the elementaries like they are, they may have to take a different bus to a different school. You know, middle school going up to high school, elementary going to, they're going to be riding different buses. With this rollover system, not only does it save the routes, but automatically transfers them to the next route. So it's easier just to apply them to that particular route or that particular bus trip, as it's called. Stop location, time, and bus information. I can see it all right there on the screen. You can look. It divides it up. You can actually see every single stop the bus is going to stop at. We take Honey Bear, a Happy Elephant right there. We know we got 4 students we're picking up there. We know we're going to pick them up, I believe, at 7:47. That's roughly when the bus is going to be there, depending on how many students they've picked up. We also can tell by the very top line there, EM Brown, AM Karen. We know that that is a Elms Morse Brown bus. It's an AM route, and the driver's Miss Karen. So that's all information we can have at that ready anytime. So that comes up like that, just like that. Matter of fact, that picture you see right there, that's a morning run. That is all of our buses right there. The color codes after them that you see, that's 5 minutes they've been into their particular run. You can see each run has a name, bus number, and a color code attached to it. So that's what I look at each morning. It's kind of fascinating when they're all moving around on me. Next, the Stop Finder software. This is a fantastic software that we've just downloaded at Christmas time. What this is that we send out an invitation to everybody in the district, all the parents who are in the PowerSchool. Their primary gets an invitation to Stop Finder. They download the app onto their phone. They can actually see on their phone their students' schedule, when they should be picked up, when they should be taken to the school, when they're being picked up from the school, when they're supposed to be home. You can actually put a geo-track. You can tell when the bus is leaving the school. You can put a geo-track when it's coming close and get an alert when it's close to your particular stop, and when it's arrived at the school. So they can actually track their student's bus from start to finish, both to and from school, and know exactly where that bus is. They can also send me instant messages through Stop Finder as well. So-and-so is not going to be on the bus, not going to be taking the evening bus. We've lost our phone in the bus. Can you find it for us? That immediately comes right to our Stop Finder application. A little ping pops up. I know it's there. We can help them out. Other things on this one, two-way communication, like I said, the geo alerts. Instantaneously, if I have a change of a particular sub or a bus, let's say one had broken down or have maintenance on one, I can change it immediately so there's no confusion. The parent knows that child's going to be now on bus 30, but on bus 11, won't be Miss Ann, it's going to be Miss Sue. Like that, they'll have that instant, just pulling it up. So, and that is the new Stop Finder app. It's been beneficial for parents or somebody saying, hey, somebody may miss the bus, what time is the bus coming? We'll refer to the Stop app, go ahead and look at your Stop Finder app. That's approximately when the bus should be there. We always ask the parent to have the student out there 5 to 10 minutes before that, but that's approximate when that bus is going to be at that stop. So, Viewfinder, this is a newer feature that we've put out for the secretaries and building principals. What this is doing, it helps them identify trips and students and which trip or student the student should be on. Good example. We have little Billy who hasn't been in school for 3 weeks, illness. He's now at Moore. She doesn't know which one of the 9 buses he has to ride. He forgets. With this particular viewfinder, the educational aide could be out there with her iPad, put little Billy's name in. Oh, he's on the pink bus. Pink bus, Miss Ann is right over here. Let's walk you to it, and you are stop number 3. This alleviates a person on a radio calling the secretary now calling transportation picking up, looking it up themselves, calling back, doom, doom, doom. You can see what's happening here. You know, we're going to get lost in the shuffle or having to call which person does this bus go to with all the buses. Quick, easy, right at their fingertips. And they can give this to anybody within their school building. So all the educational aides who might be working outside with the buses or coming and going, so they know who's coming and who's going, and they can track the trips where the buses are at. This is a great feature for the elementary buildings. Last, this is a brand new one. We're going to roll it out here right after Easter. Next year is going to be full force. It's called Trip Finder. What this is going to do is going to alleviate a lot of paperwork for people signing up for bus trips. Right now we've got paper going here, filling out the secretary here, coming to me, do we have this open? Yes, we do have this open. It's going back over to the bursars, finally gets back up to Rod, who then has to approve it, then it comes back to me. A lot of paperwork, a lot of mishandlations there. With this right here, secretary looks at a calendar. We want a trip on this. Comes to me. Everything looks all good. Okay, I agree. Goes to Rod. It has to be approved by Rod. Rod says yes. Comes back to me. I send it out to email to the particular student or teacher or secretary. Yes, you have this bus. You have this trip. Everything's cool. Like that. I mean, right now we've got trips that sometimes take 2-3 weeks to get approved, and I have to have a bus ready for them. So this instantaneously. And I can have a calendar like that. Somebody can look at it and say, ooh, I can't take it on that date. I'll try a different date to send somebody to the zoo. I have 3 buses going to the zoo one time or next week or 2 weeks from now. With this, it would have been a lot easier to get those 3 bus drivers and buses ready to go. So with all these 4 working together, this has really helped with the transportation department's needs in the district. Not only to help the students get back and forth to school, but also keeping parents informed where their child is at or student is at on the bus. So.
All right, so a quick recap here, transportation department efficiencies. The big thing I touched on is accessibility from anywhere. Having your phone, I could be on vacation next week, have an issue with a field trip, and I can access it from my phone. I can change routes, I can change drivers, so accessibility from anywhere has been a huge improvement for this. Communication with parents, the amount of phone call traffic that has been eliminated by being able to do text messages and emailing straight from the app has been insurmountable. We can finally answer every phone call that's coming in just because of the amount of parents that are utilizing that. That one slide said we have 400 users already in our first year of kicking out the Stop Finder, which blew my mind away. I didn't think we'd have that many. So kudos to the parents. And then more accurate information. So before we didn't have any way to really update besides our daily bus changes. So now on the app, we can do a bus change right on there and it'll show you the new driver, new bus color, new number. So it's everything is right now. You make change on the computer, parents see it right now. So that's been a big help and it's fully implemented. All the steps have been taken. It's been proven to be efficient and it's been helping out our department and the community tremendously. And then last but not least, Trip Finder. We're really looking for ways to improve our transportation department and this is one that we're ready to launch, like you said, in a couple weeks. So this basically covered everything that I need to say there. And then we'll keep on continuing to explore opportunities. So whenever we have parents asking questions, that's our trigger point. What can we do to fix this? So that's kind of how this came up. Too many phone calls or missing kids walking out to the bus too late and things like that. So we're always looking for new ways to improve our transportation efficiency. Any questions?
How long is the information stored for, RC?
How long what?
How long is the information stored for?
Indefinitely. It's stored on, it's called a data source. So next year we will import a new data source, but like 3 years from now, we can go back to the 23 data source and look at that if we needed to.
So if there was an issue 6 weeks ago, we can track that information. Good. Is that what you're saying? If a parent has a question, hey, I think this happened or this happened, and you'll be able to tell what
Like
bus
a
that
GPS.
child was on? Yeah.
Yeah, we can,
Okay.
I've looked all the way back a year ago and
Okay.
we've been able to.
That's great, thanks.
So I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So when we're doing field trips, sporting events, stuff like that, are the buses set in like a regular rotation so the same ones aren't getting more wear and tear? Or do we have a set few that do those extra, so then we know that those ones would get the more wear and tear?
Rich actually does a fantastic job. He has a whiteboard in his office that shows the mileage of all the buses, and he constantly, every year, he's adjusting those, so our buses do get wear and tear pretty equal across the
Okay.
board.
And then, so obviously there was a big price difference between the two, but this one seems to offer quite a bit more functions. I mean, is there a catch? Because there's a big price difference, but a lot more flexibility, it seems.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, but we did do other demos and we had other pricing come in much lower than the other Traversa. I'm not sure why they're so high. I don't know if it's a name thing or what, but they were pretty much higher. They're the highest one out of the 3 or 4 that we demoed. I can't answer why.
They were the first one in the game, so they had the market capture in the beginning. So can students use Stop Finder? I guess.
So what we do, it's a safety net, is we only kick out the invite to the primary contact. From there, the primary contact has the opportunity to share that with a spouse, a grandparent. You can share it with the student. I know that we do have high school students that are taking that as an opportunity as well, so.
Well, Mike can only rides the bus on a rare occasion, so when he's missed it, it's been because he has to go all the way through the subdivision, he can see it and it's gone, and if he knew exactly when it was coming, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Next question, I saw on that chart there, we have 2 full-time bus maintenance people? Is that right?
We have 3. So Rich is the head mechanic, then we have Brett and Randy, which is our 2 other mechanics. So we have 3 full-time mechanics.
So we have buses that are, I guess I just didn't realize there was that much maintenance on the buses. Is it just normal maintenance, keeping them, oil changes and tires, like we do all that in-house, I guess
Yeah, we do it
Okay.
all in-house and we also oversee some of the ISD buses too.
Okay.
So basically any bus that you see over in the lot, he does his monthly inspections, whether there's anything wrong with it or not. He pulls them into the bus garage, does his once over, makes sure everything's good. But yeah, like you see all the miles we're driving, there's gonna be blinkers not working, stop arm not coming out. We just had hood latches come undone on a bus hood the other day and we had to drive a bus out. So things that aren't expected happen all the time. But yeah, it's a very extensive job to keep up on those buses.
Any other questions?
I will tell you, I know that you said that you were surprised by having 400 parents this first year. What kind of parent feedback are you getting?
John may get more than I do. Have you had any?
Right now, all positive. Occasionally, what happens if they have somebody who's moved, like they move from one part of the district to the other part of the district, because of going under the power school, sometimes power school has to catch up with itself, so we can actually reassign them to a stop finder. That's the only thing we'd have an issue with. Otherwise, it's been positive, except for a small glitch like that. So we've corrected that.
And with regards to transportation, is there in this Are there areas of improvement? You got any goals or anything?
No, I'm outside of Trip Finder. I think that's our next thing. We don't have anything else slated.
And as far as comments, so far, all good. Earlier at a meeting, I had the opportunity to ask RC how it was working out with you, and he said, great, you're doing a great job, so thank you.
I thank you.
And your enthusiasm, John, is contagious, I must say.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I've never seen anyone get so excited about transportation. So thank you, but really, in all sincerity, thank you, and thank you, RC, for all you do.
Thank you.
I am curious, how did the families know to sign up for Stop Finder? I mean, I'm asking for the community too, because sometimes people don't know how to do that.
So we kicked out an email to everybody that has a student riding or their child riding a bus. But we always have people reaching out to us how to do it. If you didn't receive an email, you're more than welcome to call us and we can send out another one. It might have went to your spam or just didn't recognize the email. But yeah, you can call us and we can resend another invite.
Great work, you guys. I'm so impressed, and at the lower price too. Much more efficient and greater flexibility, but wow, that's great. Did you have something?
I just had a comment. As a parent, I have probably been guilty of like, how did that bus go by my house? I had no idea there were over 1,600 stops a day. That's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Emily?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. All right, moving on. We do have the Hanover Culture and Climate infographic. And John's going to be a hard act to follow. I'm just going to say that out loud.
I just want you to know that my voice may not show John's enthusiasm, but it's in my heart. So, very excited. You've been hearing about this since the fall when we originally administered the Culture and Climate Survey. I've been running into many districts now. As I said at the retreat, they brought in a Culture and Climate specialist to talk about the climate of your organization. And the next steps are pretty exciting too. But just what you're looking at on the front page here, this is just going to be a real quick overview, but you can see that there are our scores on the left. That's the Swartz Creek Construct scores, and then the benchmark scores. So as Carrie said earlier, the benchmark scores are 150,000 different inputs from over 30 schools, and our scores are 1,291 inputs from Swartz Creek community members. You can see it's broken out by student, staff, parent, and community. So I'm going to go through and highlight some of the highs and lows, but I just want you to glance real quick at that front page, and you will notice that the colors on the left and the colors on the right pretty much line up. So when you see something really, really high and you're all excited, just know that that pretty much represents what all the other school districts are noticing. And when you see something really, really low, don't get too upset, because as you can see, that's what the other school districts are noticing as well. Almost every category is within the same shade or one shade on every single category. So that was pretty interesting. We did have 9 categories where we were higher than the benchmark, and 6 of those 9 came out of our staff. So currently there were 170 staff members who took the survey, and that's a great number, seeing as how we have over 400. Almost half our staff took the survey, and they have some obviously very positive things to say about us. So as you're going through, I was impressed with the school safety feedback, 84% feeling safe going to and from school, 81% feeling safe at school and activities. You do notice that when you look at throughout the whole data piece, you will see that when you compare students, staff, and parents, there's always a difference in where they land. So our students don't feel as strongly on most items as our staff does, and our parents tend to be in between those two. So staff has had the most agreeing opinion on most questions, students had the lowest on most questions, and parents tend to be somewhere in between.
you can see that there are social emotional things, work hard and motivated to learn. We talked a lot about that academic achievement. In fact, that's part of our next steps, is to dig in to why our students are have such a low motivation, 20%, only 19% enjoy learning, things like that. But 89% respondents do know that students and teachers want to succeed. So there's a lot of different little data pieces you can dig into. You know, we've talked about trauma and social emotional wellness, and it's been in our MyKIP goal now for 2 years. And you know, there's a lot of different data points on social emotional, but you can see that only 50% of our students feel they can manage their emotions. You think about, we have 3,500 students, so if you appropriate that out, you're saying 1,700 students still don't feel like they can manage their emotions. And I think that's a big thing that we need to continue to talk about. Some pretty positive things about relationships. Staff's at 98% saying that they have positive relationships with students. That is an amazing number. And then you can go and see some of the differences there. And then just, you know, when they find things that they feel comfortable with, like you can see the difference between staff and students. Staff almost never find any harassment, 98 to 100% of the time on any topic, any demographic. Whereas students, you know, could only say never or a few times, 33% of the time on physical appearance, all the way up to 72% of the time based on religion, and a slew in between based on other demographics. Excuse me. Interesting on leadership, 85% of the staff believe that the school is in tune with parent concerns, and 84% agree that the school is making decisions that supports our students' learning. And so just again, a lot of good information. There were 1,291 respondents, 170 of those were staff, 27% were parents, and then you had the rest were students. So I think it was around 800 students that took the survey. So a nice mix of 6th through 12th graders that had a chance to do input. Jim, do you want to speak a little bit about the qualitative next steps with Hanover and what
Yes. So
you've been gathering for that?
Yes, so our next step is to dig deeper, and this means that we're going to get a focus group together of 15 teachers, 15 students, with diversity in those groups. And then at the end of April, they'll go through an intensive, in-depth interview about this data, about our school culture. And that interview will take about 20 to 30 minutes. It's through Zoom, and it's one-on-one. So we're really excited. We'll get some infographics on that data also to help us really dig in deeper as we look at our focus groups.
And I think the majority of those topics are motivation, engagement, wellness, and feedback. There was one conundrum in there where teachers felt like at a very high percent that they gave feedback and students were at a very low percent. So they want to dig in. Is it the perception of they're thinking different thoughts about what the feedback means? Are they saying the same things? Are they saying different things? You know, is someone referring to a grade versus actual, written feedback? So there's a lot of different ways to dig in. But we have shared this with our MTSS teams, our leadership teams. As you've seen, I've put it out to the entire community. Everyone who has a PowerSchool email got this exact multi-page infographic. We said that we would be transparent and share, and I'm pretty proud of the work that's being done. And the type of research in a school district our size I think it's pretty impressive. And if our MTSS team can turn around some of this qualitative research and implement it into our PD plan, I think it'll be very powerful. And I'm excited to see in the fall what the difference is in 1 year. Hopefully we'll see some changes in that. Questions?
Who will will choose the focus groups? Is that something Hanover does, or will,
We select them.
okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thanks, everybody, for doing this. It's going to, like you said, Rod, it'll give us some additional insights. And Swartz Creek does that very well, but it's great to have an outside group assist us in doing that. So thank you. And if you do get a chance to look at it, this is really great information. I had a chance, and Jack had a chance to dig through it, but it's really good information and very insightful. All right, moving on, we do have the first reading of our policy updates that Jack talked about during his update.
Yeah, so the two policies are in your update. I don't have a whole lot to add from what Jack said. You have a month to look at them. There's only two of them. Basically, the tech ones are just adding some options so that we're ready for state testing. And as Jack said, we are recommending not to adopt the other one, which we currently have already not adopted, but some changes had come up. So we're going to make that choice again. Our recommendation, that is, to you. So when we come back in April, if you have any other questions, if you want to email Jack or myself or give us a call, pretty simple policies. I think once you read over them, you'll see they kind of speak for themselves.
Any questions before we move on? All right.
So, wait,
Go
real
ahead.
quick. So we're going to review this. If we have questions, we can reach out to you, Rod or Jack, and ask the questions, and we'll vote it in next meeting for sure.
We'll also have a question and answer period next time so that you can publicly talk about anything that you have. But yeah, if you want to dig into it before the next meeting, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure.
And at the policy committee, and then we have our second reading.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. All right, moving on, we do have several board action items, beginning with Section 105 and 105C, Schools of Choice Board Resolution.
Yes, so we are at that time of the year again where we must adopt our Section 105 and 105C School of Choice to allow that program to continue in Swartz Creek.
All right, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Jessica? Do I have support?
Just quick clarification. So we are saying we want to continue accepting school of choice students. That's basically what it is. Okay, thanks. I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Can I comment real quick, Madam President?
Yes, you may.
I've voted on this 3 times now, or this will be my third vote, I should say. And I voted no both times that I have voted. And without giving away how I'll vote this time, I'm very strong in my opinion on this, having been a student here at Swartz Creek and seen some of the effects that this has had on our student body. I think in theory, school of choice is good, and it gives more opportunity to those who might otherwise not have it. The reason that I voted no twice, however, is because I don't think it has had a benefit to Swartz Creek students. I've seen, in my opinion, and this could be subjective and an anecdote, but I have seen an increase in violence and drugs and vaping, and I'm not saying that's all coming from the school of choice kids. I'm just saying I've seen an increase of it and a correlation between them. I'm very passionate about this. I do think, in general, school of choice is good, and it gives students opportunities, like I said, that they otherwise would not have. It is my personal belief, though, that it's not right for Swartz Creek. I just wanted to clarify that before we voted.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
So my 2 cents, I was a graduate of Swartz Creek several years before you.
Yes.
And drugs have always been an issue. And we
Yes.
didn't have school of choice in 1990 when I graduated, and cocaine was the drug of choice by our cheerleading squad. I remember that specifically. So it's not like they've been around, and And as long as I've been in school, people talk about some of the private schools having the best drugs. So, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily the demographic coming in or out. I think it's sometimes where is the money as well too, right? So drugs have always been an issue. I think as far as, any of us can go back, Rod and I graduated a year apart, and it was not a non-issue 30-some years ago.
Thanks, Andrea. Anyone else?
Could I ask Rod to speak to the effects and the funding effects of school of choice to our district?
Yes. Chuck, in the fall, asked me to just run an analysis of the number of students in total, not by year, but like in a moment in time. And we were up 200 and some versus down. So that's 200 times $9,150 per kid. Who's what? How much is that math?
$2 million.
So
That was $2 million.
So that would cost
1.98, but okay.
that would cost us $2 million or roughly 20 teachers. So it does have a huge impact on our budget. I know of no district in the county that does not participate. Students move around from district to district. They're very transient. That's one of the reasons we cooperate so much with the ISD, because Flushing, Davison, Lake Fenton, Linden, Swartz Creek, Flint, Carmen, kids are all going over to every other district, and we have data that shows that. Also, our MTSS team has actually run multiple analyses, because we were asked to by the board, to look at males, females, school of choice, and whatnot. And the discipline and actually the academics turned out that school of choice actually had slightly higher academics than non-school of choice and equal discipline. So there was no actual data that showed that there was any worse academics or discipline based on those numbers.
Well, that's good to hear.
Well, yeah, I get a couple, yeah, so if we lost $2 million, let's just say we lost it, we would obviously have 200 less kids, so we would not need as many teachers. So it would adjust out itself, theoretically. I don't know if it's 25 kids per class, depends on how the ratio's built and how many kids are in, I mean, I'm sure you can't count, there's, 25 in first grade, second grade.
If then all of those teachers happen to retire, you could do it through attrition, but if they didn't retire and you lost 200 kids and $2 million, you would have to lay them off.
Right, but we'd have 200 less kids, which would create less work. I mean, if you don't have, it's like widgets. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here. And I think my question was back at the beginning of the year, and I don't recall this number, which I'm pretty good with numbers, but I don't recall it. I asked how many kids through school of choice came to our district and how many students' kids we lost to other schools, because I think some of it has to do with school of choice, because I talked to a lot of parents, they're like, no, I put my kid in this school because of whatever reason, but I'm just, what was the number, do you recall?
Yeah,
Rod?
so that 200 net number was because we gained around 700 total and lost around 500. We are even, relatively speaking, to Flushing, Grand Blanc, Durand. We lose to Lake Fenton, Fenton, Linden, and we have gains from Carmen, Ainsworth, and Flint. And anyone else I didn't mention is usually a wash.
Small amount for Grand Blanc and whatever, so.
Yeah, it's like 40 in, 40 out to Flushing, 60 in, 60 out to Durand, that kind of a thing.
We're at a deficit with the districts to the south of us.
We lose students to the south and we gain them from the east.
Can I just confirm what I heard is that you said you did do a study and you found that there's no more nor less, but no more discipline to the school of choice kids?
Yeah, we ran our academics, so our STAR, math and reading, and then we ran our Swiss referral reports, and we broke them out by demographics, so you could look at like third grade school of choice, third grade non-school of choice, and then you could look at, I forget the report that we just did a couple of months ago on the STAR scores, and you could see what the average score was, and then you could apply that to each of the bands. And it was pretty even, but they were ahead on more categories than they were behind for academics, and it was almost break even on discipline.
And is that formal discipline, or does that include informal discipline?
That was back when we were using Swiss, so I don't know what you mean by formal. We used the words major and minor. Generally speaking, a major is anything that goes to the office. At the secondary level, it's usually a suspension. A minor is usually something that's done within the classroom, or like a lunch detention or after-school detention.
Okay.
And that's great that you ran that number, and I know you guys did it as a per capita, per so many students. We didn't do it gross numbers, because we have so much more children that are in district than out of district. So we're having 700 out of district. We're having 25 to 2,700 in district. So when we run that number, I want to know, it's a good number, but you got to do it per percentage and not per gross student. And I want to be able to see those numbers just to.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, we don't actually use Swiss right now, so we would probably be able to pull a suspension list off of Power School.
Okay, I think that would be good information to ease anybody's thoughts, Rod, just so we have a percentage. You know, I did some research the other day, you know, on gun lobbyists, and they say that America is the murder capital of the world. You know, there's 33,000 people murdered in America a year. But if you do it per 100,000 people per country, they're not telling you this, we end up being the 49th country in the world. But they always say we're the murder capital. And you're right, because we have 33 to 35,000 homicides a year, but we have 350 million people. So people can skew numbers any way they want. So that's, I think, would be a better accurate thing. Do you feel better for it next time around? Does that make sense? Yeah. Maybe better for you, because I want to know the real numbers. How much is it per 100 children compared to per 100 children in out of school, in a school? If that makes sense to everybody on the board, instead of just saying there's raw numbers. Thank you.
I have two questions. One, do all of our schools accept school of choice, so like all 5 elementaries plus middle school and high school?
Yes. We've always been an unlimited school.
Okay, and then is there a cap? Like, does each school have a cap of like, you know, we'll only accept 50?
So yes and no. Legally, no, we're unlimited. But yes, when it comes to enrollment time, because enrollment is a process from June all the way until the third week of school, we start closing off sections in schools based on numbers. So, for example, third grade siblings come in and they want to go to Elms, but the third grades are all at 30. Deke's all sitting at 25. Nikki and Sue and myself and Jim look at those numbers, and those choice kids will go over to Deke because they're not living within the boundary. They don't have to ride transportation, and the numbers are way off. So we do internal adjustments.
To accommodate for in-district versus?
Yeah. In fact, we don't place school of choice till later in August, so that as people who are in district and registering and moving in, they get into classes and it averages out. We wait to the last minute, no, not the last minute. We wait until August before we actually place everyone, and then from there we continue to place based on numbers.
Okay.
All helps are in district.
Thank you.
That's great. That's good to know.
So the devil's advocate would be, what if we didn't participate in this? I mean, we couldn't, say Fenton couldn't accept our people, but if we chose not to do this, we would be losing 700 kids, but losing 700 coming in and still losing the 500 that can go everywhere else. So we're looking at 1,200
Right,
kids.
so the GISD, as I said earlier, has us projected to lose 400 kids over the next 5 years. If we did not do school of choice, it would be 400 plus all those kids that don't come in, yeah.
Oh, they projected geographically the 400 children? That's good to know. Thank you.
Birth rates are at their all-time lowest in Genesee County right now.
All right, anyone else?
Thanks for the
Okay.
opportunity.
I will, if I
Go ahead.
just may, as a parent, my kids have both had friends and lifelong still friends that come to Crete, that live within the actual district and who have been school of choice and have had great experiences. And me personally, had I not had the experience of school of choice when, well, wasn't school of choice, of being able to go to the school that could provide the needs that I needed As I was growing up, I wouldn't have been able to continue on in orchestra, and there are a few other things, and I think that Creek is able to provide that not only to our students well, but for other students that we know that are in need and are capable of getting here and coming into our district. And I think that it's important for us to be a welcoming, inclusive community and district that helps students to really reach their best potential, and I think that we have the staff that does that.
Can I just piggyback on that? I personally, my child started as a school of choice here. It brought me to the district to move in here, and I don't regret any moment of it because what I was coming from, this is what I needed. So I do think it has definitely positive impacts as well.
Well said. Thank you very much. All right, with that, be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the Section 105 and 105C Schools of Choice Board Resolution as presented. Sue, would you do roll call, please?
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Holly Jarvis,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Kim Winter,
No.
Jack Sayer,
No.
Jessica LaNave,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
5 yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. All right, moving on to the approval of SCEA employments. Some very patient folks sitting here this evening.
I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Kitchen to introduce our SCEA recommendation for hire.
Thank you. And Brianne, would you please come up to the podium? So Mrs. T sent this statement. She says, Brianne has served as a long-term sub for 6th grade science class for most of this year. She brings a wealth of knowledge and experience from outside the classroom into her classroom daily. She is an absolute sponge for learning about the world of education. Above all, Brianne is constantly looking for constructive feedback and involves herself in any opportunity to grow in this profession. She has a heart of gold that is student-centered. Those are great words, and I submit to her for your consideration for hire as a science teacher at the middle school. Brianne Witt.
Oh, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come and stand in front of you guys tonight.
So I always ask our candidates, what brings you to Swartz Creek? I may know the answer, but
I am an alumni. I grew up, went to Elms, middle school, high school. I love Swartz Creek. I love being involved in the community. I was an informal educator in a couple of jobs, most recently the Genesee Conservation District as their education outreach coordinator, and I loved teaching about the environment and seeing the enthusiasm with being outside, and you normally don't get to teach kids outside in a normal classroom, so I try to do that too. So I worked with R.J. Kaplan and Hannah Lumley last year during the Flint River watershed, Green River education thing, so I got to work with them and the students, and I loved it. And I saw that Mr. Kaplan was becoming the assistant principal at the middle school, and I was like, so how do I go about kind of looking into your job? And I really enjoy it, and I love my students. They bring a smile to my face every day. It's always something new.
so how excited are you about the new STEAM edition?
Oh, I love it.
Isn't it amazing?
Yes, students were like, when can we go next? When can we go? And I'm like, well, I'm setting up a lab soon. We're going to go. So
Great,
anytime
great.
that we have a chance to go, we go.
Well, thank you and welcome. All right.
Thank you.
With that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Jack and Jessica, any comments
That
or
was Chuck
questions?
and
Chuck and Jessica. Any
There was 2
comments?
supports.
Okay.
Yeah, so this side of the table, you're
Any
good on.
comments or questions?
Don't know about that side of the table. So they're
Hearing
the crazy
none.
ones down
Be
there.
it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the SCEA employment of Brianne Witt, science teacher at Swartz Creek Middle School as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Holly Jarvis,
Yes.
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Jessica LaNave,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Absolutely.
7 yes.
7 yeses, motion passes. Welcome, Brianne.
Thank you.
Congratulations, young lady.
Thank you.
2013.
Congratulations, Brian. All right, next, we have very exciting approval of our non-union administrative executive director of business and finance.
I would like to have Jamie Cowan come on up to the podium. We are very excited to present Jamie to you tonight as our Executive Director of Business and Finance. Jamie has an amazing repertoire of skills here. She has been an auditor with Plant Moran. She has worked for the Oakland schools, and she comes to us as the Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations from Pinckney Community Schools. Jamie had an amazing trip through our interview process, going through the first round, the second round, and then sitting with our Finance Committee and answering questions with them. She lives in Swartz Creek. Her children were students at Morris Elementary and graduated from Swartz Creek already. And I'm just really excited at this point in education and at this point in the year to find someone as qualified as Jamie to be our next finance director is very, very exciting. Jamie, would you like to say a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. I am so grateful to be here and to become a dragon. As Rod has already mentioned, my two children matriculated through Swartz Creek. We came here for the school district, so it was our choice. It was our school of choice. My background, Rod's already mentioned, is accounting. I started auditing, public accounting, auditing schools. I had a passion for education from way back. I put myself through school. I was the first person in my family to graduate. And I didn't stop there. So I wanted to become a CPA. I did that, and then I went back and got my MBA. During that time, I started a family, and again, moved to Swartz Creek. I wanted to work inside of schools. I wanted to be a part of what was happening in public education. I support public education as a taxpayer and as a worker. So being a service, I love that. I love the teaching part. Even though I'm not in the classroom, I still teach. I present data to you, I present data to my coworkers, so I'm always doing that, but in a different realm than the classroom, but it is very engaging, and I love it. And like I said, I'm so excited to be here. Rod has mentioned I've worked at many districts. It's been a wealth of opportunity that I've been blessed with, and the stars were aligned coming home. So I'm very excited to be able to continue to do what I love best here in my own community.
Wow. So I don't think I have to ask you what brings you to Swartz Creek. You answered that multiple times.
Bringing me home.
Yeah.
So I have to say, I'm very excited that you've actually been on the other side of the fence as a school auditor and understand the complexity, and now are sitting in this position, as you have before, to assist the school in making sure that we are planning everything we need to do and our budgets are right on track where they should be and as they have been, but I'm so excited. Anybody else have questions?
Me and Jessica do, because we were at the Finance Committee, and I grilled her pretty hard, and she held up to it, and asked her a ton of questions, like I was interviewing her, like our committee did, or as a police officer, and she answered everything great, and she stood up, and she knew a lot of things that I was impressed with, so my recommendation is obviously with Rod's is, and I'll let Jessica talk because I think she feels the same way.
I do. I'm excited about Jamie, and it was nice to know your level of knowledge and the depth of your experience as well. Makes me very excited, as Carrie just said, of being on both sides as the auditor and as a business director in a variety of districts. And if our enrollment in the coming years is going to be down as projected, that help with what happens. Granted, the state may be increasing per pupil funding, but we're gonna have to be diligent with our dollars, I guess, and I look forward to your help with that.
It will be my pleasure, and some of the experience that I've had, for whatever reason, it was where I was placed, it was working with deficit districts. So the struggle beyond declining enrollment, which was a primary factor in them being deficit districts,
is huge. So I have a lot of opportunities to discuss and share with things that we've tried and done at other districts, and successes as well.
Thank you. I don't think we take our fund balance for granted,
No, you
because
do
we've
not.
been in the depths at 5%. And so, any of the lessons learned that you're going to be able to share with us as a district so that we're proactive, I think will be really helpful over the next several years. Thank you. So with that, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
All right, got that. That was a Jack and a Jessica.
No, that was a
Chuck.
Chuck.
Chuck, you sound like Jack again.
I guess we're both getting gravelly.
All right, any comments or questions? Hearing none, be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves Jamie Cowan as the Swartz Creek Community Schools Executive Director of Business and Finance as presented. Sue, would you do roll call, please?
Kim Winter,
Yes.
John Sayer,
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
For sure.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Jessica Lenave.
Yes.
7 yes.
7 yeses, motion passes. Welcome.
Welcome, Jamie.
All right, our next item should be pretty quick. Each year, the GISD annual budget hearing is held, and this one is, remind me, April 26th. So we do need to assign, identify, coerce someone to become our delegate, and then as an alternate to attend that budget hearing and vote on our behalf. So I would open the floor for people who might be interested as the delegate and as the alternate. And Jessica, you have served in that capacity before, correct? So Jessica says she is willing to serve in that capacity as our delegate, if there are no objections to that. And then we need an alternate in the event that Jessica wasn't able to attend. It's in the evening, usually 5:30, 6 o'clock, goes a couple hours. There's presentations by the GISD, et cetera.
Before, right?
Yeah,
We'll
this is
just
the
formalize it.
same.
Okay, yeah, so I did.
Okay, so we have that, and so we're going to formally adopt it tonight. Any other comments or questions?
I nominate Jessica.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Chuck. All right, be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves Jessica Lenave as the delegate and Andrea Fick as the alternate to the GISD annual budget hearing held on April 26, 2023, as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
Jessica Lenave.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, ladies. All right, moving on, we do have the approval of our E-rate contract. Rod, did you want to talk about that?
Yes, so E-rate is an amazing opportunity where we can get into purchasing technologies, and through the E-rate program, we would get a % off similar to that of our at-risk percentage. So in our case, what you see here, we would actually be paying almost half of that because of E-rate. Travis, do you want to say anything else about that?
Just that this is our 4th year. We have a 5-year funding cycle. We have currently about $500,000 left in discounts that we can apply for. This is a letter of intent, so we have to sign the contract now. The deadline is March 28th for our 471. That's what this is called. And then we'll be awarded by the government, hopefully. And then that's when, after July 1, so it'll hit next budget, we'll be making this purchase. So this doesn't fully commit us, but it's committing us to get the discounted amount. So it'd be around 55 to 60% right now. So it's a great opportunity, and the pricing was really great on some of that network here, which over the last few years was impossible to get. So I'm excited and hopeful for the opportunity.
And thanks, Travis. I know you're the one that was responsible for bringing this to the district and saving us a lot of money. So I want to let everybody know that. You get the credit for that. Any comments or questions for Travis or Rod? Excuse me. Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Jack and Chuck. Any
Jack and
comments or
Jack.
questions? Hearing none, be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves both of the following technology bid recommendations through E-rate to People Driven Technology to purchase switching network electronics with a total bid price of $271,471.47. Gemtech Group to purchase UPS equipment and associated parts with a total bid price of $256 as presented. Let's see. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Jessica Lenave,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you, and thanks again, Travis. Appreciate it. All right, finally, we have public comments. Anyone would like to address the board, please step forward to the podium, state your name, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Anyone? Anybody? All right.
How about you, Elena? Give us an update how your life is going. Okay, no? All right, good.
All right.
Do it.
Any comments or questions from the board?
I would like to say as well condolences to the Conover family and the March Genesee County Association School Board member. I'm tired. The meeting for March was canceled to give support to the Conover family. And the April meeting, you all may have gotten an email about it, is the awards for MASB and even more importantly, the scholarship recognition. The County School Board Association gives 7 scholarships a year. Each school district submits 1 candidate from each district. So of the 21, then 7 are selected. And it's a really nice dinner. It's an opportunity as well to network with the other school board members from the other districts. So if you have the time and the availability, come on out. It'll be a good time.
Anybody else?
Go ahead, Carrie.
I was going to congratulate Brianne, welcome you officially, and thank you so much, Jamie, for joining us officially, and we look forward to working with you. Thanks to our administrators, to our staff. Enjoy your safe holiday breaks, please, students as well. And thanks to my fellow board members for our very long meeting tonight, and a lot of good information, a lot of stuff. And I'm going to throw in one more PSA for the Connections to Wellness in the Creek. Everybody come out April 4th. You can get a hot dog and chips and a drink. So, and there'll be a food truck there as well if you'd like to purchase food.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Just one more quick reminder about policy and academic achievement being moved back one day to Monday the 3rd. That's Monday the 3rd. It'll be back to back to back, just so everybody knows, so nobody's guessing.
And RC and John, thank you so much for being here tonight and for all that you're doing as well. And Travis, we couldn't do this without you, so thank you to you and your team. Did I miss anybody? Elena, welcome back. And thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Chuck, you have something you wanted to mention?
Yes, time capsule. Yeah, we keep putting it off, and we got to figure out something soon with it. So with the time capsule, by next month, I would like everybody to talk about it, and or maybe do it at committee meetings, because that way it'll be an open meeting forum. And I would like a date, or at least an approximate time, so we can tell the public when the time capsule is going to be open. We put it off long enough, it needs to be addressed. So just people think about it and figure out what you would like to do, and maybe we can talk about it at committee meetings. I think that'll be acceptable, right, Rock? 'Cause they're open to the public and they're posted. So it's not like, I just want some direction on it. Good? On that, that's one. Second thing is when we did our tours of the schools, we've had some bathrooms injured, destroyed. I don't know what the right word is.
Vandalized.
Vandalized, yeah. I was being kind for once. But, we have to address that, I think, with cameras outside of them, more specific so we can see what's going on. Although I've taken 3 tours of the high school, and it seems like every tour I've taken, one or the other bathrooms was down. And Rod's doing a good job by trying to keep the teachers on and stuff, but I don't know why the kids insist on doing it. But that's something where they need to be severely disciplined and booted out, because it costs our taxpayers money. On all the committees that we have, finance, building, policy and procedure, Rod, what's the process for having a vice chair assigned to all those? Because I take Jessica's notes if she's not there. Jessica takes my notes if I'm not there. Do you want to just keep it that way, or do we have to designate a vice chair for those?
You're not
Okay.
You're not mandated to designate someone, but you can informally do that.
Okay, but we can do that maybe at the subcommittee meetings. In the chimneys, we're not going to get any movement on Mary Crapo right away, so the chimney swifts are coming back. So could you set up a plan for the, yeah, I think you had some ideas for it, where they could be built out of wood and set back in the ball field till we can get some construction done so the birds don't. I don't want it on my conscience. But I'm saying, let's get something for them, okay?
The construction trades already have a plan in place, so we just need to let them know that we're going to move forward. We can put them on a corner of the field that won't be touched by any original construction, and then just replace them as part of the construction.
Perfect. And that's it. And you're working on a potential of another SRO for us, right? So, thank you.
All right.
That's it for me.
All right, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. With that, we will, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Those in favor say aye. We are adjourned.